Hello students. Okay, good morning. So I welcome you to Veranda IAS All India Mock Test. Okay, so let's talk about the exam. So there are still 35 days for the exam. Okay, so for the exam, okay, so let's get into the discussion without further delay. Okay, so there are in the first question, okay, we are talking about the type of the orders, governor states, and what are the orders actually, and what does the order is related to. Okay, so eighth order is related to, all the statements are actually incorrect here. Okay, so the first question, eighth order is related to governors of state, and it is for the appointment of the chief secretary. Listen, in the recent time, the concept of the position of governor, okay, is there are too much of issues in the last 1 year. Okay, there are too much of issues with governor and the state governments, especially in the non BJP ruling parties and everything. Okay, so in that aspect, this question is very very important. Okay, so in the order, okay, there is a precedence there is a precedence. Okay, so this particular precedence is where how an order of precedence is there in the aspect. Okay, so in eighth order, governor, okay, governor of states and appoints chief secretaries there, and then position in president is, okay, that is correct. Governor of state within their respective state are listed as fourth and not on eighth, so rank is wrong. Okay, so most importantly, even though the governors formally appoint the chief secretary, it is actually based on the recommendation of the state chief minister. Okay, the governor doesn't directly appoint the chief secretary. Okay, and then there is judges of the Supreme Court appoints the Comptroller General of India. Okay, so that is also listed on the that is listed at ninth. Okay, but not third. Okay, as it is given in the question. Okay, and then appointment of CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General. Okay, it is done by the President of India, not by the Supreme Court judge. Okay, and you can see the other order also. Okay, 11th order, Attorney General of India. Okay, as well as appointment of the Solicitor General of India. Okay, so the Attorney General of India is placed at the 11th order. Okay, so and you can see the other orders. Okay, next question is about the preamble. Okay, the preamble of Indian Constitution declares that the people of India are the ultimate source of authority. Yes, because the preamble starts with "We the people of India." Okay, we the people of India have solemnly resolved to constitute India into. So it shows that the preamble is the most important, it's one of the most important aspect of the Indian Constitution. It shows that where the constitution derives its powers from. Okay, so the preamble shows that the people of India are the ultimate authority, or the ultimate source of authority. And then as the second statement shows, the phrase "we the people of India" in the preamble reflects the concept of popular sovereignty. Okay, so yes, the concept of popular sovereignty is the bedrock of our democracy. Okay, so "we the people of India" in the preamble reflects the concept of popular sovereignty. Popular sovereignty is a concept of political doctrine. Okay, that says that the government, whether it is central government or the state government, is is elected on the consent of the people. Okay, consent of the people. So people elect them through elections. For example, the elections of MPs, particularly Lok Sabha MPs as well as MLAs. It has are done based on the universal adult franchise, which is nothing but one person has one vote. Okay, so and free and fair elections is the bedrock of our democracy. So this particular this particular question talks about the preamble and the source of power of the preamble. Okay, so this is another important question. Next, in the context of constitutional government, the principle of rule of law refers to. Listen, the question about constitutional governments are in the last 5 years. Okay, now and then UPSC is asking this concept. This is one of the basic concepts UPSC is trying to test the UPSC aspirants knowledge with. Okay, so in this particular question, let's see the statement. The government can make and implement any law without accountability. No. Okay, the parliament, okay, particularly the executives are accountable to the Lok Sabha, particularly the MPs are accountable to the Lok Sabha, and then the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha people MPs are accountable to the people. Only elected representatives are subject to law, not the government official. They are talking about other offices and everything, executives, but no, executives are also subject to the law. Okay, next, everyone including the government official is equally subject to law. Exactly. Okay, article 14 says that all are equal in front of law. So the constitutional government, which is a limited form of government, which means a government which runs based on the law of the land. Here the concept of rule of law, everything which happens in the country should be based on a law. Okay, in that aspect it is correct. Okay, and then the judiciary is above the law. The judiciary is above the law. Okay, that is not wrong. Even the judiciary is under law and they cannot override any decision unless until, okay, unless until any law which is made by a state or like center, which like violates the ultra vires of the constitution. Okay, the Supreme Court has the authority to make any law null and void unless when that particular law, okay, makes the it violates the ultra vires of the constitution. So option D is also wrong. So here in this question 3, option C is correct. Okay, with reference to making of the Indian Constitution, consider the following statement. The objective resolution was introduced by B.R. Ambedkar in the Constituent Assembly. Okay, that is wrong. That is totally wrong, because objective resolution was introduced by our first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru. The Constitution was adopted on November 26, 1949, but fully came into force on January 26, 1950. Okay, so that is correct. Okay, so Constitution Day is each and every year. It is celebrated in November 26. Okay, so the Constitution was adapted, okay, on November 26, but it came into force in January 26. That is the day we celebrate it celebrate as our Republic Day. And then the third option, the Constituent Assembly also functioned as the provisional Parliament of India after the adoption of the Constitution. Exactly right. Okay, up until the first general election, okay, which has happened in 1951. Up until that, the provisional Parliament, the Constituent Assembly, okay, which was selected, okay, that functioned as a provisional Parliament of India after the adaptation of Constitution. That is also right. Let's see the details of this particular question. Okay, so the Constitution was adopted on November 26, but fully came into force on January 26, 1950. Exactly correct. And that's why the date why we have chosen January 26, even though the Constitution was adopted on November 26, because Purna Swaraj resolution, okay, in Lahore session at 1929, okay, 1929 in Lahore session, it has been decided that we are, the Congress is going to celebrate Purna Swaraj on January 26, okay, and January 26 to remember this day, to commemorate this day. Okay, so it has been decided that each and every year, okay, so it was selected that the day of Republic Day, 26 January 1950, okay, so selected as Republic Day, and on that particular day the Constitution came into force. Okay, it was chose to honor the declaration of Purna Swaraj. And then the third statement, okay, after the Constitution came into force in 26 January 1950, okay, the Constituent Assembly became the provisional Parliament, and up until the first general elections, which was held in 1951 to 52, as I said before, okay, that particular Constituent Assembly has functioned as the provisional Parliament. Okay, and next question number 5, which one of the following is not a feature of Constitution of India? Okay, so first option, supreme law of the land. Yes, obviously Constitution is the law of the land. There is no more law bigger than the Constitution of India, so it is the supreme law of the land. That is correct. Provides for a presidential system of government. No, it is wrong. Okay, our Constitution gives for a parliamentary type of government, not a presidential form of government. So the second option, option B, is wrong. Option C, safeguards fundamental rights. Obviously fundamental rights which are enshrined in our Constitution are very, very important for the protection of the people. Various rights are enshrined in the fundamental rights. So safeguards of fundamental rights. Listen, Article 32, as Dr. Ambedkar said that it is called as the heart and soul of the Constitution, and Indian Constitution is one of the very few constitution which has protection of fundamental rights itself as a fundamental right. Okay, so safeguards of fundamental rights is also a feature of Indian Constitution. Okay, and then lays down the framework for political governance. Obviously, yes. Okay, so who's the executive, who's the who's part of legislative, who's part of executive, and all are clearly mentioned in the Constitution. So the Constitution has laid down the framework for political governance of India. So it actually clear cut, it gives the clear cut variation between the separation of power between the legislative, executive and judiciary, as well as it also clearly defines how the laws are made in central level, state level, okay, and then how the powers are divided and how the elections are supposed to be held, okay. Yeah. So next, question number 6. In the context of judicial functioning, the principle of judicial review refers to. So Article 13 gives the basic idea of judicial review. Okay. So sometime back I told you that the Supreme Court has the right to make any law null and void in that particular law or act violates the ultra vires of Constitution. Okay. So what is the concept of, what is the principle of judicial review? Okay. So let's go by one by one. Review of the government scheme by the Prime Minister. No. So this is actually, logically it is wrong, because Prime Minister himself is part of government, or he is the head of the government. So the Prime Minister cannot review, the schemes created by the government. So that is one thing. Second option, option B, the president's power to rewrite laws. No, here the president is considered as the part of Indian parliament. Yes, whenever we say parliament, we Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha alone used to come in our mind, okay, because we think Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha are the two parts of the parliament, but in reality president, Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha, okay, are the three parts of the parliament. Okay, why president is an integral part of parliament? Because any bill which is passed by the parliament will become act only when the president signs it, because he is the head of the state. President is the ultimate executive of India. So the president doesn't have power to rewrite laws and all, okay, but he is an integral part of the parliament. Next, option C, the power of courts to review laws and executive actions for their constitutionality. So this is what we call as judicial review, and under Article 13, okay, under Article 13, which clearly states that what is law according to the Constitution. Okay, so judicial review is also a fundamental principle of the Indian Constitution according to Supreme Court. So according to this particular judicial review power, the judiciary, especially the higher judiciary, which means the Supreme Court and High Court, has the power to examine any law which is made by an executive or an action of any law which is made by the legislature or the action of the executive, or in the lines of Constitution, which means it doesn't violate the ultra vires of the Constitution. Okay, so if anything violates, the Supreme Court or the higher judiciary, in the case as it said here, the Supreme Court or the High Court, can make it null and void. The concept of judicial review is enshrined in Articles 13 primarily, and then 32, as I said, the power of writ, and then Article 226, okay, which talks about High Court's power. Okay. Okay, so that is a geography question. Listen, aspirants, in the last 10 years, the highest amount of Indian, geography questions are from Indian drainage. Okay, Indian drainage, which talks about, rivers and everything. So here is a important question. Narmada River, consider the following statement. It flows westward and drains into Arabian Sea. Okay, Narmada River, it flows westwards and drains into the Arabian Sea. Okay, first option. Then it forms an estuary before entering the sea, and it flows through the Rift Valley. Yes, Narmada and Tapi are one of the are the important Rift Valley rivers of India. So let's decode the options. The Narmada is one of the few major rivers in India that flows westward, because most of the rivers are originating in the Western Ghats, and they are flowing through towards Eastern Ghats and erode Eastern Ghats, and then they mingle in the Bay of Bengal. But Narmada is one of the very few major rivers in India that flows westward and mingle into Arabian Sea. It originates from Amarkantak Plateau in Madhya Pradesh, and flows west into Arabian Sea. That is right. Along with Tapi and Mahi, as I said before, it is one of the three major west flowing rivers in the Peninsular India. Narmada is a peninsular river. Okay, next, why statement 2 is incorrect? The Narmada forms a delta, not an estuary. Delta is a bigger okay, in physiography, delta is a bigger area, which means delta is created by the alluvial deposit of any river. Okay, whereas estuary is a small body. Okay, and Narmada forms a delta before draining into Arabian Sea, whereas an estuary, what is an estuary? Estuary is a body which is created where a river meets the sea and mixes with the salt water. It is a brackish water region, and it is actually good for environment and everything. Okay, but Narmada doesn't form an estuary. It forms a delta. Narmada forms a delta. And then option 3, the Narmada flows through a rift valley. Narmada flows through a rift valley, and that particular rift valley is formed, okay, due to tectonic activity. Okay, so that is correct. Okay, and then the Narmada river lies between Vindhya range and Satpura range. Okay, just a minute, I'll show you the picture itself. Okay, so just see, this is, let's say this is Vindhya and this is Satpura mountain. Okay, this is Vindhya mountain and this is Satpura mountain. Narmada runs in between. Okay, Narmada runs in between. Okay, so this valley is a rift valley. This valley is a rift valley. Okay, rift, as you can see. Okay, there was a rift due to the tectonic activity. Okay, so it is generally called as host and graben in geography. Okay, so this particular rift valley lies between Vindhya range at the north and Satpura range. Okay, as I said, this is Vindhya and this is Satpura. Okay, so Narmada runs in between. Okay, okay, and another important thing, why? As I said, only very few major rivers runs westward instead of eastward, because Narmada is like guided because of this guided through this rift valley. Okay, next question, what is the primary purpose of National Green Mission Project? National Green Mission Project, listen, in 2015, okay, a Paris Climate Conference has happened, and before that and after that, okay, India has been focused heavily, highly on sustainable development. Okay, particularly climate change, global warming and all, we had to focus on that. Okay, so we have created a project called as National Green Mission, which is to reduce the global warming, to reduce the emission and everything. Okay, so here, what is the primary purpose of National Green Mission? To conserve biodiversity hotspots? No, it doesn't concern it. Okay, to increase forest cover and ecosystem service? Obviously, yes, to increase the forest cover. For example, according to the Finance Commission's recommendation, we are trying to have 33% of India's land, land body into forest cover. Okay, to promote afforestation in desert areas to eradicate drought. That is part of UNCCD and United Nations Convention on Climate Change, and we are also trying to eradicate desertification, but that doesn't come here directly. To support community farming, so that is also a wrong answer. So National Green Mission is one of the 8 missions under National Action Plan on Climate Change. So what are the objectives of National Green Mission? Here, to enhance the forest and tree cover so that it will act as a carbon sink. So it will act as a carbon sink, and then to improve ecosystem service. What is ecosystem service? For example, the tree absorbs carbon dioxide and releases oxygen. So this can also be considered as an ecosystem service. Okay, these are called as ecosystem service. So here, biodiversity conservation, water recharge, aquifer recharge, okay, and soil conservation, because the roots of the trees are holding on to the soil and it reduces the amount of soil erosion. So soil conservation. Okay, and then forest dependent communities, tribal communities are dependent on the trees. So these can be called as the ecosystem services. Okay, next, World Economic Outlook. World Economic Outlook, this report is released by none other than International Monetary Fund, IMF. Okay, IMF. The World Economic Outlook is a report published by the International Monetary Fund. Okay, so what is the importance or the what is the objective of this World Economic Outlook? So it focuses on certain areas such as global economic growth, how the global economic growth is in what pattern, whether it is in developing pattern or not, and then how the inflation is in the world level. Okay, obviously inflation affects the people's life, because the affordability towards a particular product obviously affects anyone's life. And then unemployment, how the rate of employment is there, how unemployment is affecting a country's economy, and everything are very, very important, and that is also being covered here. Okay, and then monetary and fiscal policy trends. Okay, so monetary policy is a concept which is controlled by central banks of certain major countries. For example, in India, monetary policy is maintained by Monetary Policy Committee as well as RBI, and then fiscal policy is how the government is enacting budget and how it is controlling the fiscal aspects of the country. Okay, and then this particular World Economic Outlook is released twice a year, and then it is based on individual country wise data and economic modeling. For example, which type of economic pattern is in this particular country. For example, USA has a capitalist economy, whereas ours has mixed economy, but it is kind of right now leaning towards the capitalist side and everything. Okay, so these are very very important. So the takeaway is World Economic Outlook is a report released by the International Monetary Fund. And question number 10, correct regarding India's nuclear policy. Another important question. India has declared a no first use policy. Yes, that is correct. Okay, India has declared a no first use policy, which means we won't launch the nuclear attack from our side on the like at the beginning. Okay, but there was in the between there was there was a statement by Mr. Rajnath Singh. Okay, at the time he is the defense minister. Okay, which means he said that it doesn't mean that only after the enemy has launched the attack we will start to attack. It doesn't mean that first use policy, so no first use policy doesn't mean that only we will attack after we have been attacked. Okay, it is completely different. Okay, let's get into the detail. India follows minimal credible deterrence. Yes, obviously India follows minimal credible deterrence. Okay, we don't want an unwanted nuclear war. Okay, unwanted full-fledged nuclear war. Okay, India developed nuclear weapons after 1998. No, before itself, during Indira Gandhi period itself. Okay, Honorable ex-Prime Minister Indira Gandhi period itself. Okay, in Pokhran we have tested our first nuclear weapon. Okay, India is a signatory to non-proliferation treaty. No, India wanted to be the member, but certain aspects of this treaty is not suitable for India. That's why India has not signed this particular treaty. So let's get into the explanation. Okay, so India has officially adopted the no first use policy, meaning it will not use nuclear weapon unless first attacked. But as I said, most importantly, it doesn't mean, according to the defense minister statement, doesn't mean that we have to wait for someone to attack us. Even we get a credible information that someone is going to attack us through a nuclear weapon. Okay, we will launch the attack. Okay, so that is called as no first use policy. Next, question number 4, option 4 is also incorrect. Okay, so India has not signed the non-proliferation treaty. Non-proliferation treaty allows 5 countries, the permanent members of United Nations Security Council as nuclear weapon states, and as others not to develop nuclear weapons. Okay, which is not suitable for the present geopolitical climate. Okay, so that's why India opposes this. Okay, India sees this particular treaty as a discriminatory treaty because just imagine. Okay, just imagine. Okay, an upper hand is given to these 5 countries, and these 5 countries, France or UK are not more powerful than India, and India has more reasons to have proper nuclear weapons because we are surrounded by 2 nuclear powered states such as China and Pakistan. So that is another important thing we are supposed to see here. Option number 3. India conducted its first nuclear test in 1974, as I said, in Pokhran, and this particular operation is called as Operation Smiling Buddha. Operation Smiling Buddha. Just a minute. Operation Smiling Buddha, and we have showed our nuclear capability and capacity. And then during Mr. Vajpayee's prime ministership in 1998, India has conducted a series of nuclear tests which were named as Pokhran 2. Okay, and then we have officially announced us as a nuclear weapon state. Okay, and this was followed by Kargil War, if anyone doesn't know about it. Okay, and then India's nuclear doctrine is based on credible minimum deterrence, which means maintaining just enough nuclear arsenal to deter any attack. Our mentality is not to wage a full-fledged nuclear war. Okay, our aspect is to have a minimal credible minimum deterrence. Okay, which means to thwart the attack. Okay, next, question number 11, with reference to mission lifestyle for environment, which is a current affairs based question launched by India at global stage. Consider the following statement. Okay, so it aims to initiate individual level behavior change campaigns. Okay, it aims to, just a minute, to individual level behavior campaigns focusing on demand side efficiency in energy, water and food resources. Okay, next, the mission has launched a pro planet people network with intent to institutionalize environmentally conscious behavior through lifestyle audits. Okay, so it is actually a campaign aspect. It is a campaign aspect. Okay, so environmentally conscious behavior through lifestyle audits and community scorecards. So option 1 is correct. Okay, here the core idea behind the mission life is, okay, the mission life is to focus on individual level based behavior change. Okay, each and every person's action counts. That is the concept here, and it promotes the concept of mindful and deliberate utilization of resources. No wastage, or no unwanted wastage, everything. Okay, and this particular life mission focuses on changing individual behaviors. Okay, what it is focused on to reduce overconsumption and promote sustainability. Just imagine if we can save certain amount of electricity, okay, the production will go down, the amount of fossil fuel burnt will go down. Okay, so in that aspect, individual responsibility is the focus of the mission life. And then question option 2. Okay, P3 Pro Planet People Network is part of Mission Life. It aims to create global community of individuals who adopt and promote sustainable lifestyles. Yes, that is correct. And then particularly the like lifestyle audit has to be done now and then. Okay, the concept of minimalism and all is suitable here. Nudging tools, okay, to encourage the people, and then scorecards are part of the campaign. Okay, so this is a very important question, so please don't forget mission life. Question number 12. Consider the following statements regarding ocean acidification. The acidity of the ocean increases day by day. Okay, how it is happening? Okay, it's cascading ecological impacts. The dissolution of atmospheric carbon dioxide, okay, CO2 in the surface results in the increased concentration of carbonic acid. Exactly right. Okay, and which alters the carbonate buffering system. Okay, generally there are carbon based like life forms, as well as the ocean acts as the sink, but it has a threshold limit, okay, beyond which it will like that particular carbon sink in itself will affect the ocean. So that is what they are talking about here. Lowering the saturation of the organic minerals essential for shell forming marine biota. Exactly, crustaceans, as well as like what you call the coral reefs and everything, is basically they have like carbon carbon based, right, sorry, they create the shells or like reefs based on carbon, but when the level breaches, it affects the ecosystem. Next option, acidified ocean water impairs neurotransmitter function in reef fishes. Exactly, listen, there is a concept of predator prey function, which means how much prey has to be there, how much predator. Okay, but when this is getting into imbalanced mode, obviously it will affect the overall ecosystem, so it indirectly impacts the coral health and the reef biodiversity. Yes, that is also correct. So here they have asked which of the above given statement is are not correct. Both the statements are correct. Both the statements are correct here. Okay. Question number 30. Which of the following statement best describes carbon border adjustment mechanism? It is based on a previous year UPSC question, and recently this particular concept is in the news again and again, because EU's carbon border mechanism, adjustment mechanism, is very important. Okay, they are talking about what is carbon border adjustment mechanism. Okay, so here it is not designed by World Trade Organization. Let's get into the right option here. It is a mechanism proposed by the European Union. This is a mechanism proposed by the European Union to equalize carbon pricing, which means, let's say that in your country you are reducing the carbon emission and everything, but let's say that you are buying certain goods from other country, and that particular good has like has consumed for the production of the particular good, okay, they have consumed lot of fossil fuel, and it has emitted lot of carbon and everything, so there is no point of limiting. Okay, just a minute. Just a minute, I'll try to change the mic. Just confirm whether I am audible. Am I loud and clear right now? Yeah. So it is a carbon border mechanism, adjustment mechanism is the concept which was launched by European Union, okay, to equalize carbon pricing, okay. Okay, so the most important thing here is, so especially when you are importing goods, okay, and then you are supposed to apply, when you apply carbon tariffs, so the producing country will also be forced to limit its carbon emission. Okay, so this is the concept is very, very important in the carbon border adjustment mechanism. So when you are buying a particular product from any country, just imagine what is the point if they are also. Okay, what is if they are also, they are using, like fossil fuels or any other methodology which emits more carbon. Okay, there is no point of your country alone reducing or controlling the carbon emission. Okay, yeah, it's a climate policy tool, okay, and implemented by European Union. Okay, what is carbon leakage? Where companies will move the production to another country where they have, like looser, what is that? Looser environmental regulation, so that it is bypassing the original mechanism will not be applied in this particular thing. Okay, so this particular concept ensures fair competition between EU domestic producers. Okay, and because they in domestic the producers pay a particular amount of payment for the carbon emission. Okay, under the European Union emissions trading system. Okay. So it tries to bring a level playing field for the people, different people. With reference to following events, another environment question: Paris Agreement, establishment of global methane pledge, launch of mission life. Okay, they are talking about a chronological, like a sequence of environmental activities. Okay, so one, two, three. Paris Agreement was signed in 2015. Okay, 2015, a legally binding international treaty adopted in UNFCCC framework. Okay, so what is the aim of this Paris? Okay, just a minute. Yeah, they have listed out. Here it is 2015. Paris Agreement is on 2015. Okay, by UNFCCC. Okay, so it is a legally binding international treaty, okay, adopted by UNFCCC, United Nations Framework for Climate Convention. Okay, what is the aim? To limit the global warming well below 2 percentage, okay, to sorry 2 degrees Celsius, and most preferably, okay, to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Okay, and how it is going to, so it is, like aimed at different targets here for different countries such as developed country, developing country, but ultimately it all converges in 2050. Okay, and the next, okay, establishment of global methane pledge. Methane has the highest, one of the highest, like global warming potential. So it was launched in the year 2021. Okay, it was launched in the year 2021 by, like US and EU. Okay, what is the goal here? To reduce the global methane emission at least by 30 percentage by 2030 from the 2020 level. Whatever the level it is in the 2020, we are trying to reduce it by 20, no, by 30 percentage in 2030. Okay. Okay, next launch of Mission Life, lifestyle for environment. As I said some time back, okay, it focuses on the individual people rather than the countries and organizations. So here it is launched by India and it was endorsed by UNEP, United Nations Environmental Program and United Nations Development Program. Okay, so what is the concept of Mission Life? As I explained before, it focuses on individual behavioral change. Okay, individual behavioral change such as, like minimalism, like carpooling, like that and all. So it is aimed at promoting the sustainable lifestyle choices. Okay, sustainable lifestyle choices which will result in less amount of global warming, less amount of usage. Okay, and ultimately a sustainable lifestyle. Okay, next question number 15. Okay, another environment question. Listen, in environment the highest amount of questions are asked in biodiversity, but each and every year, okay, each and every year there is a question about a type of pollution. Let it be air pollution, let it be water pollution, or most importantly in the recent time plastic pollutions are on the high. Okay, already UPSC have asked a question about plastic pollution. Let's see a question related to plastic pollution. So here we are talking about the plastic waste management rules 2022. Okay, recently there was also an amendment, a proposed amendment. So here,
And the rules mandate extended producer liability for plastic packaging across three categories: rigid, flexible, and multi-layer. Okay, let's get into the explanation later. Let's go through the options. The rule aims to eliminate all single-use plastics, including plastic carry bags below 75 microns. Here, note it down. Okay, the key points here are single-use plastics, okay, single-use plastics, and then 75 micron and 2025 and 2025. Okay, next question number, sorry, option number three. They provide for mandatory recycling and establish a centralized online portal for tracking and audit of plastic credits. Listen, whenever like a pollution based question, they are talking about a positive step. 99% it is right. Okay, they are talking about, listen, there are no superlative terms here. They are talking about a positive step, so it is 99% correct. Okay, let's talk about the options. So first option is correct. Okay, the Plastic Waste Management Amendment Tool 2022 introduced extended producer responsibility. What is extended producer responsibility? For example, let's say that I am a big retail chain. Okay, for example, I'm running on online retail chain. For example, Amazon. Okay, so and I'm sending a parcel. So in that there will be certain amount of plastic. So I have the extended producer responsibility. Or else, let's say that I'm actually producing mobile phones. In the packaging there are certain amount of plastics. Okay, so what are the methodologies I'm having to collect the plastics or to reduce the plastic pollution? So here the packaging, like is categorized into four types: rigid plastic packaging, flexible plastic packaging, okay, single layer or multi-layer, and then there are multi-layered plastic packaging. Okay, so here the most important thing is compostable plastics. Okay, biodegradable plastics are also on the rise. And this particular rule, plastic additives management rule, okay, requires the producers, importers, and the brand owners. Okay, most importantly, the brand owners to manage plastic waste they generate through recovery, recycling, and reuse. For example, let's say that you have visited a mobile, like shop or a mobile, repair shop. You might see there is a separate bin to collect the e-waste and all. So that is also part of the, like extended producers responsibility. Okay, next. Option two, why it is incorrect. Okay, carry bags below 75 microns were already banned from 30th September 2021, and the carry bags below 120 microns were banned from 31st December 2022. Okay, so and then the government has also released a list of single-use plastic items. Okay, from July 1, 2022. So the target is not 2025. So and not all the single-use plastics are banned. Only a specific items. Okay, only a specific items which has this amount of microns. Next question, option three. The 2022 rules introduced mandatory recycling targets for producers. Yes, let's say that I'm actually, like supplying, okay, some 100 tons of plastics. So there is a limit. For example, I'm giving it as an example. I'm supposed to recycle some 60 to 70% of the plastic. Okay, and then a centralized online portal was actually created by the CPCB, okay, Central Pollution Control Board, which monitors EPR compliance. What is that? And extended producer responsibility compliance, whether they are actually like recycling it or not, and collecting it or not. And then plastic credit training, okay, as well as annual returns filing in the amount of plastic they have recycled and everything. Okay, and this particular portal, through this portal, we can, like it is aimed at the transparency of the plastic recycling and everything. Okay, so question number 16, what is the purpose of Global Shield Against Climate Risk Initiative? Okay, global. Listen, this particular type of term-based questions are on the rise in the environment test. Okay, and sorry, environment-based questions of UPSC since 2016. Okay, each and every year, you can see the term-based questions are rising in, like in environment, particularly, like it is related to species related question, or sometimes it is an initiative related question. So global shield against climate risk. Okay, so let's get into the question. To establish a pre-arranged and a structured financial response system. Okay, response system including insurance, contingency fund, and social protection to address loss and damage. Okay, so there's another fund called as loss and damage fund. Okay, but here loss and damage from climate-induced disorders. Okay, next, to mobilize financial resources for climate resilience building in low and middle income countries through multi-stakeholder coordination. Okay, so Yeah, that is also correct. To mobilize financial resources, because obviously the developing countries needs more financial resources, or else the climate control will become a double-edged sword, especially for countries such as India. Okay, and then to replace the loss and damage fund under UNFCCC framework with the private sector-led consortium. Here, what is wrong? The global shield does not aim to replace loss and damage fund, because loss and damage fund is actually providing a lot of fund. Is even this year this was under there was a talk, because Kerala has asked for a loss and damage fund, and UNFCC said that it cannot directly transfer the fund to a state government. So this year, okay, loss and damage fund is in use. Okay, coming back, the loss and damage fund as well as the global shield fund, both are complementary. Okay, both are complementary, and global shield offers quick disbursing tools, whereas loss and damage fund is a part of broader global finance mechanism, climate finance mechanism. Okay, it focuses on the damages, negative aspects of the climate change and everything. Okay, and then most importantly, global shield is not a private sector. It's not a private sector led initiative, even though the private sector participation is encouraged, even though the private sector participation is encouraged here. Okay. With reference to United Nations Convention to combat desertification, which of the following statement is are correct? Okay, there is an exploratory question. So, what is an exploratory question? According to Veranda Pyramid, any question which is part of current affairs and where the basics of the particular concept are applied, that is called as exploratory question. So, it is the only legally binding international agreement linking environment and development to sustainable land management. Okay, sustainable land management. Yes, UNCCD is one of the most important organization, because the amount of arid land in the world is increasing. So yeah, that is that. Okay, so it is the legally binding agreement, that is correct. Okay, India hosted 14th session of COP to UNCCD and committed to restore 26 million hectares of degraded land. So combating desertification. What is desertification? Let's say this is an arid land, and this is a semi-arid land. This arid land will increase. The area of arid land will increase, and this semi-arid land also after some time will become a arid land, which is completely not suitable for farming, agriculture, or even sustainable, suitable for certain animals and everything. So reducing this is very very important, because desertification affects the lifestyle of the people as well as food security and everything. So that is one thing. That is one huge thing is there. Okay. So question number 18. Which of the following statements with respect to volatile organic compound, VOCs? This is another question about pollution, very important. They are emitted as gas from certain solids or liquids and are major precursors to formation of tropospheric ozone. Okay, listen. The ozone, when it is in troposphere, okay, so sorry, when it is in stratosphere, it is one of the best protector of the earth, which because it protects us from the ultraviolet rays. But whereas if it is the ground level ozone, it is a pollutant. It is a pollutant. Next option is benzene, toluene, and xylene are examples of volatile organic compound commonly released from motor vehicle exhaust and industrial solvents. Okay, that's correct. And VOCs are non-reactive with other atmospheric gases. That is incorrect. Okay, that is incorrect. As I expected, VOCs are reactive with other atmospheric gases. Okay, there was the concept of primary pollutant and okay, just a minute. Yeah, I heard something died. Okay, so yeah. So option two, sorry, option three. Volatile organic compounds are non-reactive with other atmospheric gases. That is wrong because they react with other, particularly they are highly reactive and then they do not accumulate, but they will undergo photochemical reactions and they actually produce certain other secondary pollutants such as, like ozone, peroxyl nitrates, PANs, and secondary organic aerosols and everything. Okay. Next, VOC are linked to respiratory issues. Okay. Yes, they are, particularly cardiovascular diseases, distress in acute respiratory distress syndrome, and like they also contribute to higher amount of indoor air pollution, which kills more amount of people compared to the outdoor air pollution. Okay, there is also that. Okay, question number 19, one water approach, another environment question, but it is a it's an explorative question. Okay, it treats all water, including storm water, wastewater, and grey water, as a single interconnected resource and requiring integrated management for long-term resilience. It is about water treatment, so it is correct. Next, option two, the approach supports decentralized water reuse systems in urban planning. Listen, when you decentralize something, the efficiency will increase as well as the, the control will also be, like even though the control will be, decentralized, and that will produce you more, fruitful result and everything. Okay, in urban planning and seeks to balance environmental equality with ecosystem restoration. Okay. Next is discourage groundwater recharge through stormwater harvesting due to contamination risk and instead emphasizes on water desalination and purification technology. No. Listen, once the water encourages, sorry, actually, one water concept encourages the groundwater recharge because the water pollution is of two aspects. One is quality aspect, and another one is quantity aspect. Whenever the quantity of the water reduces, the dissolved salt will also increase. So, water quantity is related to water quality. So, groundwater recharge is very, very important. So, groundwater recharge using stormwater harvesting and natural filtration method, natural aquifers will reduce when they increase the quantity, the quality will also increase. That is the most important thing. And desalination is not the center focus because it needs desalination. We need high energy and it also costs us too much. Okay. Next question number 20. Consider the following in respect of geoengineering techniques. Okay. Stratospheric aerosol injection involves deliberate release of reflective particles to reflect sunlight. Okay, to increase the albedo effect. Okay, yes. What is albedo effect? The amount of sun rays reflected back. Okay, from by the atmosphere. Particularly polar ice caps, the glaciers and everything. Okay, and clouds also does this albedo effect. Okay, so the sometimes we can increase this albedo effect. Okay, so stratospheric aerosol injection is the one technique. Okay, next, ocean ion fertilization. Ion absorbs. Okay, ion absorbs, like when the ion content increases, okay, ion content increases, okay, it will stimulate the phytoplankton growth, and then phytoplanktons is the primary food source in the ocean, okay, which is necessary for coral and everything, and in result, it will absorb more amount of the ocean, like will absorb more amount of carbon. So the concept of blue carbon is here, okay, so it will increase the ocean carbonic sequestration. That is also correct, okay. Okay, so both the statements are correct here. Next question number 21. With reference to green credit program introduced by the government of India. Okay, which of the following statement is are correct? The program is envisaged as a market-based mechanism under National Green Tribunal Act. Okay, that is incorrect. Okay, it is a market-based mechanism under Environmental Protection Act of 1986, not under National Green Tribunal Act. Okay. Next option. Activities eligible under program includes afforestation, water conservation, and air pollution detection and mangrove restoration. Okay, yeah, that is correct. Okay, so here the green credit program, which encourages people, okay, to invest in certain things, okay, especially afforestation activities are increased, water conservation techniques are increased, and then air pollution reduction, and most importantly, mangrove reduction, mangroves, which helps in to avoid coastal, erosion, restoring the coastal environment ecosystem, as well as, like controlling the negative effects of tsunami and everything. So that is also correct. Okay, so what are the program includes, like a tree plantation, which is afforestation concept, and then mangrove restoration. Okay, India being one of the country which, with highest level of coastal region. Okay, that is correct. And then water conservation activities. Okay, and then air pollution, because India has the highest amount of air polluted cities in the world. Okay, there are certain there are certain aspects here. Okay, in the context of Montreux Accord. Okay, Montreux Accord is related to Ramsar Convention, which is aimed at the protection of wetlands in the world. Okay, so Ramsar Convention, it is the record of wetlands under Ramsar Convention, but they are undergoing ecological changes. Listen, any wetland which is placed under Ramsar Convention and later due to some issues that wetland is getting affected, I know ecologically affected, it will be placed in the Montreux record, which is kind of a warning to the particular to any organization, including the state government or central government or any national level organization, which are maintaining that particular Ramsar site. Okay, so if a particular site is put in a Montreux record, it means it's kind of a warning, and immediately the necessary actions are supposed to be taken. Okay, it is maintained as part of, as I said, Ramsar Convention. Okay, Ramsar Convention. Okay, Kalidi National Park of Rajasthan as well as Loktak Lake have been included in the Montreux record, but not right now. Okay, with reference to urbanization trends in India, a human geography aspect. Okay, the majority of urban growth in India is due to reclassification of rural settlements into urban units and not due to natural growth or migration alone. Okay. Yeah. What is the definition of rural and urban here? If the male population, more than 75% of the male population is engaged in agriculture and allied activities, then that area will be called as rural area. Okay. So let's say that you know a place where agriculture activity is the predominant activity, but right now there has been an industry which was created, and then most of the male population is working in the industry. So no more it will be considered as a rural area. Okay, so option one is correct. The Town Planning Act enables enacted by the states have largely failed to address the issue on informal settlements and peri-urban sprawl. Exactly. What is peri-urban sprawl? Okay, the expansion of the urban areas. Okay, this is called a peri-urban sprawl. Okay, particularly by migrated workers and everything. Okay. Next, India's smart cities mission integrates climate resilient infrastructure and decentralized renewable energy frameworks at the core of urban design. Exactly. And the Smart Cities mission was introduced, it doesn't just focus on technological development, but also a sustainable development, which means commutation, water drainage, okay, energy usage and everything. Also to avoid or reduce the urban heat and land effect, everything was focused. So all the statements are correct here. Question number 24, Indian monsoon, a geography-based question. Okay. El Nino phenomenon strengthens the trade winds and cools the Central Pacific Ocean. No, okay. So just see, this is the ITZ that are the equator. Okay, and this is India, which is in the North Pole, sorry, in the northern hemisphere, and it is southern hemisphere. Let's say this is Africa. Okay, and here it is Madagascar, and there's the island called as Massacre in here. From this only we will get a like winds which will move like in this direction, and due to Coriolis force, it will deflect. Okay, and like they will move towards India. Okay, and while moving, they'll observe the moisture from the ocean, and this is what we call the southwest monsoon. Okay, because here, because of the apparent movement of the sun in the summer season, okay, there will be a in this particular Tibetan Plateau region, there will be a high temperature, low pressure area. So wind is an energy. So here there will be a high pressure, low temperature area. From this area to this area, wind will move. And while moving, as I said before, the wind will absorb the moisture. Okay, so what is El Nino? El Nino is the phenomenon in the Pacific Ocean. So let's say that this is like South America, and in this region near Chile and everything. Okay, so let's say there is another like high temperature region. So this wind won't move this way; they will deflect. That is called as El Nino. I have tried to explain as simple as possible. Okay, so because of El Nino, the winds will deflect. They won't come to the Indian, continent, subcontinent. Okay, so obviously it will El Nino will weaken the trade winds. Okay, and then the Indian Ocean dipole can counter the effects of El Nino and weaken monsoon activities in India. Okay, it doesn't actually it's a, the Indian Ocean dipole concept is of two aspect. Okay, so positive and negative aspect. Okay, so positive and negative aspect. Okay, so here the concept is A positive IOD, which means a warmer Western Indian Ocean. Okay, warmer Western Indian Ocean. Just a minute. Warmer Western Indian Ocean and cooler Eastern Indian Ocean will enhance the monsoon rainfall. Okay, but sometime a strong positive IUD also has the weakening impact of El Nino. Okay, so and but this particular concept of IOD is based on a particular situation of the season. Okay, so it depends. It is like both the El Nino concept as well as IOD are studied equally to understand the monsoon pattern of India. Next question number 25, another geography question. It talks about Coriolis force. Okay, Coriolis force is an apparent force which is created because of the rotation of the Earth. So here, Coriolis force deflects wind to the right in the northern hemisphere. Okay, and to the left in the southern hemisphere. Okay. Statement 2. Geostrophic winds caused wind causing the wind to blow perpendicular to the isobars. What are isobars? They are the, which should correct the pressure gradient, okay, which means two places which are having the same pressure, will be marked at the same level. Pressure gradient force is the resultant force of the Coriolis force on the geostrophic force. Okay, so here. And statement 2 and statement 3 is are not are incorrect. Okay, whereas statement 1 is correct. Okay, Coriolis force is the fictitious force and it is caused by the rotation of the earth. Okay, it doesn't initiate the motion, but it actually alters the movement of the wind, particularly air. Okay, and it acts perpendicular to the direction of the motion. And most importantly, according to the question, in the northern hemisphere, it deflects the objects of the wind to the right side, and in the southern hemisphere, it deflects it to the left. Okay, so it actually determines the rotation of a cyclone or anticyclone. That's why the cyclones are anti-clockwise in north and clockwise in south, and it is zero in equator, and it is strongest at the pole. Okay, very very important thing because the earth rotates which is based on the earth speed of the earth's rotation. Okay, and then why the statement 2 and 3 are incorrect? Geostrophic winds, okay, occurs when the pressure gradient force is exactly balanced by the Coriolis force. Okay, and it will be better where there is no friction, and most importantly when there is earth surface, land surface, the friction will be high, but in the water surface the friction will be low. Okay, so that is the concept we are supposed to understand here. Question number 26. Plate tectonics theory. Plate tectonics theory. Okay, there are many theories for the present, how the earth looks like, it is looking like right now. Okay, one of the most important theories is plate tectonic theory for the continental moving and everything. Okay, the movement of Indian plate towards the Eurasian plate has given rise to the major fold mountains and frequent seismic activities of the Himalayan region. Yes, okay, Indian plate once upon a time was attached to African plate, and here this Eurasian plate. It's Europe and Asia, and it has moved and connected to him because of the sudden because of the okay yeah, because of the plate's attachment to here, it has created fold mountain, which we call right now as Himalayan mountain. Okay, yeah, it is a convergent plate boundary, convergent plate boundary. Okay, so here. Okay, next. Divergent plate boundaries are primarily responsible for the formation of island arcs and deep oceanic trenches. Okay, so divergent boundaries when occur, two plates move from each other. Okay, so here this will go this side and this will go its side. And let's say it is a convergent boundary, the plates will come towards. Okay, so this is how it happens. Okay, so this divergent plate mount will lead to the seafloor spreading and it will create new crust, not trenches. So just imagine when plate go away from each other, trenches will get created. Okay, and our island arcs will not be created. Okay, for example, Mariana Trench and Japanese island arcs are created because of this activity only. Why do tropical cyclones not form at the equator? It is related to a Coriolis effect. Okay. So here, let's talk about the concept. The equator experience extremely high atmospheric pressure that prevents the cyclone formation. No. Okay. Not at all, because here the temperature is very high, so that the pressure is low. The absence of large water bodies at the equator limits cyclone development. No, that is also actually not correct. Okay. The Coriolis force is acting at the equator, so the air does not rotate around the low pressure zone. Yeah, that is the most important thing. As I said, the Coriolis force is necessary for formation of and the movement of cyclone and anticyclone. So the Coriolis force is, absent in the equator because of the rotation of the Earth. Okay, so that's why tropical cyclone doesn't form on the equator, and that's why they are called as tropical cyclones because they form in the tropic region. Okay, not in the equatorial region. Temperature at the equator are too high for formation of low pressure system. No, actually the temperature, okay, because of high temperature there will be very low pressure, but that doesn't mean that the low pressure system will change into cyclonic depression. Okay. Question number 28. When a planet approaches Earth, the light it emits will experience a shift towards the end of the red end of the spectrum, and this is called as redshift. No, not at all. Redshift phenomenon is due to the planet's motion towards Earth compresses the wavelength of the light, making them appear shorter and therefore shifting the colors towards blue or velvet. Okay, so the Doppler effect concept. Okay, Doppler effect concept, which actually shows the change in the wavelength. Okay, particularly of a light due to relative motion, which means, for example, what is the Doppler effect? Let's say that that's a moving object. Okay, and here is a platform. You are the observer, and this is a fixed area. What is the distance between these two area? Like these are defined by the Doppler effect. Okay, so it comes here. Okay, occurs, and this redshift is a concept. It occurs when a celestial object is moving away from the observer. Okay, occurs when the celestial object is moving from the observer, and the wavelength of the particular object will get stretched, and the object will appear redder. Okay, will appear red at the red color. Okay. Okay, whereas the blue shift will occur when that particular astronomical object is like moving towards the observer. Okay. Question number 29. Insolation, incoming solar radiation and atmospheric composition. Most of the 70%, more than 70% of the insolation reaching the top of atmosphere reaches the Earth's surface. No, that is not correct. Only approximately 47% of the incoming solar radiation, okay, reaches the Earth's surface. Okay, others get wasted. The question is related to heat budget of the air. Water vapor plays a major role in maintaining Earth's temperature. Okay, okay. And then options three is ozone in stratosphere absorbs the entire spectrum of ultraviolet rays, okay, ultraviolet radiation. Okay, so that is correct. Okay, so ozone plays a very crucial role. Okay, because yeah, ultraviolet C, UVC, okay, UVA and UVB. Yeah, the ozone layer in the atmosphere, sorry, in the stratosphere, absorb all the UVC radiation. Okay, UVA, UVB, and UVC. Okay, very little or like almost none of the UVC reaches the Earth's surface. Ultraviolet C radiation causes the highest amount of like damage, such as skin cancer and everything. Okay, okay. Question number 30. Isotherms Isotherms diverge towards north over land during the month of January. Specific heat of water is higher than the specific heat of land. Okay, this is also incorrect. Okay, so yeah, sorry. The statement one is incorrect, but statement two is correct. Isotherms diverge towards north over land during the month of January. Just imagine during January in the northern hemisphere, winter will be experienced. Okay, and the landmass will become much colder than the surrounding oceans. As a result, isotherms will bend southwards. Will bend southwards. Okay, not northward. Okay, and then option two is correct. Specific heat is the amount of heat per unit mass. Okay, which means water has high specific heat capacity. Just imagine you're living in land and water in the beach area. You can understand that the land will get heated soon, as well as like it will also lose the heat soon at night time. For example, let's say 7 o'clock or something like that, when you dip your feet into the ocean, you can see that even after the sun has disappeared, the water is kind of warm, okay, whereas the land will be cooler, okay. But in the daytime, just imagine at 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the beach, you cannot walk in the beach sand, whereas you can swim in the ocean, okay, even though, sorry, where the ocean is much hotter than, the ocean is colder than the land, okay. So next is the science and tech as well as geography related question. It is talking about James Webb's telescope, which is again and again in use. Okay, Hubble telescope is the successor of the James Webb telescope. Okay, one is incorrect. Okay, one of the objectives of James Webb telescope is to study the evolution of galaxies from their formation to the present day. Yes, that is correct. Okay, as Hubble telescope has become, has become older. Okay, we want to discover more and more, further more galaxies. Okay, Sorry about it. Okay, so what has happened? The James Webb Telescope has been launched. Okay, the James Webb Telescope project began in 1986, spearheaded completely by NASA. No, that is also wrong because it is a collaboration between NASA, ESA, European Space Agency, and Canadian Space Agency. Okay, note here, ISRO is not part of it. ISRO is not part of it. Okay. Yeah. So ESA has provided, European Space Agency has provided the Ariane 5 launch vehicle and some certain key instruments. Okay. So it is a collaborative thing. So what is the ultimate purpose of James Webb Telescope? To monitor the distant galaxies and formations of stars and etc. like that and all. Okay. Question number 32. Okay. Arrange the following Himalayan peaks from west to east. Listen, this type of map based questions are in the rise. Okay. It's a simple question. Okay. So Nanga Parbat is the west to east. Okay, west to east. So Nanga Parbat. Okay, and then Dhaulagiri. Okay, and then Annapurna. Okay, and then further Everest. That is the right order. Okay, Dhaulagiri is located in Nepal to the west of Annapurna. Okay, so and then Mount Everest lies further east in the Nepal, Nepal Tibet border. Okay, so Nanga Parbat is located in Gilgit-Baltistan, which is in Pakistan. It's the westernmost, as well as the Everest is the easternmost. Next, Ken-Betwa River, part of Ganga Yamuna. Okay, Ken-Betwa interlinking project consider the following. Ken flows through Ratapani Tiger Reserve. Okay, no. Okay, and the Ken-Betwa link project aims to transfer water from Ken River to Betwa River, and Ken is the tributary of Brahmaputra River. Okay, that is wrong. As I said, it is not part of Brahmaputra river system. 90% of the project is funded by union government, while the remaining cost is shared between Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. Okay, all are incorrect. Ken River does not flow through Rattapani Tiger Reserve. It flows to Panna Tiger Reserve. Panna is famous for Tiger Reserve as well as diamond mining. Okay, Rattapani Tiger Reserve is in the Madhya Pradesh and is also in the Madhya Pradesh, but it is not connected to Ken-Betwa project. Okay, and then statement two is incorrect. The project aims to transfer surplus water from Ken River in Madhya Pradesh to Betwa River in Uttar Pradesh. Okay, Ken River is a tributary of Yamuna River. Okay, as I said, Ganga Yamuna. Okay, basin. Okay, Ken River is a tributary of Yamuna River. Betwa is also a tributary of Yamuna River. Okay, these are in like Peninsular rivers. Okay. Next, option three, the funding pattern. Okay, the central government will be a 90% of the project cost, and remaining 10% will be shared between the participating states of Uttar Pradesh and then Madhya Pradesh. Question number 34, another match the following type of question, dam and river based question. Okay, based on drainage system. Okay, so 1 and 4 are correct. Okay, Rajgat River Rajgat Dam is of Betwa River. It lies in Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh border. And then Dandiwada Dam is related to Banas River and Gujarat. Whereas Somasila Dam and Ukai Dam. Okay. So Somasila Dam is part of Penna River and not of Krishna River in Andhra Pradesh. And then statement, Ukai is on Tapti River and in Gujarat. Okay. Okay, instrument here 1, 3, and 4. Okay, 1, 3, and 4. Question number 35. With reference to the structure of biosphere, consider the following statement. An ecosystem is formed by the interaction between a biological community and its physical environment, including the exchange of gases, energy, and nutrients. Okay. Okay. So yes, that is correct. Ecosystem. Okay, and then option two, a landscape is a regional scale unit representing a single ecosystem type. Okay, that is wrong. Okay, landscape refers to a piece of land. Okay, that contains a mixture of different ecosystems. So second option is wrong. Okay, And then third option, a biome represents a large ecological region characterized by a distinct vegetation type. Yes, biomes are it have a distinct vegetation type, floral type. Okay, where certain amount of fauna will be represented. Okay, and then specific climatic condition. Yes, desert biome is one of the very good example. Okay, next question number 36. Another element, like environment based question. Heterotrophs are organisms that cannot produce. Okay, autotrophs can produce, heterotrophs cannot produce their own foods, and they are obtained from other organisms. Okay, okay. A is correct. Sorry, one is correct. Biotic components including climate, temperature, okay, soil composition. These are actually abiotic. Okay, soil is the only thing which actually being considered as biotic and abiotic based on the availability of microorganisms. But apart from the temperature, precipitation, water availability, and all abiotic components. Okay, biotic and abiotic components, like mingling creates a bio, like ecosystem or environment. Okay. So here option 2 is incorrect. Question number 37. Which of the following statement is correct regarding aquatic deoxygenation? Aquatic deoxygenation. It refers to overall decline in oxygenation content in the oceanic and coastal water when the oxygen consumption exceeds its repletion. Okay. Okay, that is correct. Rising global temperature reduces oxygen solubility in water, worsening the deoxygenation process. Yes, global temperature, which is part of like increase in carbon, that will reduce the amount of like oxygen. Aquatic deoxygenation can cause dead zones, habitat loss, and affect marine food webs with climatic regulation. Yes, that is also correct. All the statements are correct. Okay, so this will create an hypoxic and anoxic. Okay, hypoxic means low oxygen and anoxic means no oxygen condition, which where organism cannot thrive at all. Okay. So next question number 38. Okay, it's a map-based question on environment. Sukna Wildlife Sanctuary, Murgavani Wildlife Sanctuary, and then Gugwa National Fossils Park. All are incorrect. All are incorrect. Okay, so Sukna Wildlife Sanctuary. Okay, it is in Haryana. Sukna Wildlife Sanctuary is in Haryana. Okay, and then why it is in news recently? Okay, because there was a proposal of Haryana government. Okay, and it was rejected. Okay, it was rejected related to the Sukna Wildlife Sanctuary. And then Mrugavani National Park is located in the Hyderabad, which is in Telangana, not Andhra Pradesh. Okay, and then Gugwa National Fossil Park. Okay, in recently, archaeologists have found prehistoric artifacts made from fossil wood at Gugwa National Fossil Park. Okay, so the hunter-gatherers have used fossilized tree trunks for tools and artifacts. So that is a very interesting thing. Okay, so Gugwa National Park is located in Madhya Pradesh, not in Chhattisgarh. Question number 39, Kaziranga National Park, one of the most important national parks of India, which is located in Assam, which is famous for its one-horned rhinoceros. Okay, it is situated in the northeastern part of India in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. That itself is wrong. It is because it is Assam. The National Highway 47 runs through it and it is situated on the banks of the Brahmaputra River and Diplo River passes through. That is right. The grassland are interspersed with match of or patches of tropical moist deciduous and tropical semi-evergreen. That is also just yeah, that is correct. Okay, I'm sorry. I have not Diplo River. Yeah, so here the National Highway 37, okay, not 47, okay. National Highway 37 runs through the park, okay. So that is the mistake. I'm sorry. So here, let's talk about the biodiversity flora of Kaziranga Park. So the Kaziranga Park actually, features tall elephant grassland, okay, which will hide, like even the tallest human being, okay, and then swampy marshes and tropical marsh deciduous for along with certain patches of semi-evergreen patches that there is a high amount of rainfall. Okay, and this particular varied vegetation will makes that particular suitable for like rhinoceros, tiger, bisons, gar. Okay, as well as elephants. Okay, as well as elephants. Okay. Question number 40. With reference to Hoolock Gibbon Sanctuary. Okay, consider the following. They are asking about the incorrect statement. Okay, gibbon is the smallest and fastest ape. Live in Asia temperate forest. Okay, so here it is wrong. Gibbons are indeed the smallest and fastest, okay, but they live in tropical and subtropical forests, not in temperate forests. So that is wrong. Next, IUCN Red List is renowned. Sorry, the Western Hoolock gibbon as endangered. Yes, that is correct. Okay, IUCN Red List has different species classification. Please note it down. This sanctuary is renowned for its unique biodiversity, particularly its status as the sole habitat for gibbons in India. That is correct. Okay, its sanctuary, Hulungapar Gibbon Sanctuary. Okay, okay, so Hulungapar Gibbon Sanctuary is very, very important, which is located in Assam. It's the only sanctuary in India that is specifically created to protect the Western Hillock gibbon. Okay, question number 41. Question number 41. Consider the following statement. Okay, biomass briquettes are emerging as the renewable alternative to coal. Okay, yes, that is correct. Okay, like it is created in deoxygenated environment or okay. So next, the process of briquetting helps reduce the moisture content and increases the energy density. Yes, that is also correct. Both the statements one and two are correct, and statement two is the correct explanation. How? Because briquetting will help to reduce the moisture content. If there is more amount of moisture content, more amount of smoke will be emitted, and it will actually cause uh, cause more amount of damage. So biomass are actually a proper, alternative for coal. Okay. Next, Paira copying system. Okay, what is it? Okay, they are talking about what is Paira. So it is an intercropping method used in desert region for water conservation system. Okay, water conservation. What is Paira copying? Okay, so here what is happening in Odisha? Okay, in Odisha, the traditional conservation agriculture practice, which is actually okay. What is happening? Prayer cropping is also known as relay cropping. Okay, so what is they are doing? They are actually sowing short duration pulses or oil seeds. Okay, and they are actually placing it in the long-standing crops such as rice and all. Okay, so what is happening before the 2 weeks harvest when they are sowing it? They can actually collectively harvest it. Okay, so and most importantly, it will be helpful for land use efficiency and it can enhance the farmer's income. It's number 43. Okay, they're talking about another chronological aspect. Enactment of Forest Rights Act. That is second. Okay, launch of MG and Rega. Launch of MG and Rega was back in 2005. Okay, Narega, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, which gives the right to work in India. Okay, and then next there is enactment of Forest Right Act, which enacted in 2006. Okay, which focus on Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Act. Okay, and it is paused to recognize the right of the forest dwelling communities. The tribal communities have been subjected to various form of mistreatment. So to reduce the burden of them, this act was passed. And then there is an establishment of National Green Tribunal, which is a statutory body under National Green Tribunals Act of 2010. So that is the third thing. Okay. Next is carrying capacity. In ecology and environment, this concept is very, very important. Okay, so what is carrying capacity? So it is the capacity of any population, okay, of a given ecosystem or a city, okay, can support sustainably, which means whatever they have producing, they are actually, they are replenishing and kind of like that, okay. It's a concept used in ecology, okay, particularly urban planning and environmental science, okay, where the number of individuals such as plants, animals, or humans. Okay, the environment can support sustainably without degrading the natural resource. For example, let's say in 1 square kilometer area, 100 people can sustain, beyond which the water will be polluted, the air will be polluted. Okay, let's say that 1,000 people are there. So the carrying capacity of the ecosystem is reached here. Okay, that is the concept here. In the context of land degradation, the principle of integrated watershed management refers to. Okay, so here, holistic development of micro watersheds with soil, water, and biomass management. Okay, so here in combating desertification as well as combating land degradation, particularly moisture content of the land is whenever it is reduced, obviously it will get degraded. So micro watersheds with soil, water, and most importantly, when you mix biomass and all, the retaining capacity will increase. Okay, which will help in the particular integrated watershed management. Okay. Question number 46. Central Asian steppe region, world climatic region based question, which is in this year. I'm expecting world climatology based questions in UPSC. Okay, let's talk about it. It is predominantly semi-arid and has historically supported nomadic pastoralism. Yes, that is correct. Okay, this like steppe is a grassland type climate and pastoralist. Has large amount of bovine animal or dependent on the grassland. That is correct. The region is one of the largest carbon sinks in the temperate zone due to the widespread afforestation project. Yes, that is also sorry. It is not a temperate zone. Okay, so here most important thing is yeah. Okay, so it's not widely recognized as largest carbon sink in the temperature zone because it is primarily grassland and semi-arid. Okay, so very less amount of forest cover will be there. And even in this area, okay, this particular land is degraded. Okay, and then the third statement, okay, it is the core zone of Belt and Road Initiative and key land corridor for Indo-Asian trade. Yes, that is also correct. That is also correct, and it also leads to the degradation of this particular land. So the answer is no. Okay. Question number 47. The peninsular plateau is older than the Himalayas and is composed of igneous and metamorphic rocks. Exactly correct. As I explained some time back, the Indian plate collided with the Eurasian plate, and then only Himalayas got created. Before that itself, it was there. And while moving fissure eruptions has happened, and which has formed the, like the Deccan region. Okay. Okay. So option two, the Vindhyan range forms the northern boundary of the Deccan Plateau. Correct. Okay. The Vindhya Satpura range is the northernmost part of the Deccan range. Okay. The Eastern Ghats run parallel and continuous along with the eastern coast. Okay, that is wrong because Eastern Ghats run parallel to the eastern coast, but they are not continuous because they have been eroded. Okay, Eastern Ghats formed some millions of years back, and because of that, it has been eroded. Not just because by by wind, but also because of the rivers which are created in the Western Ghats. Okay, question number 48. Environmental Protection Index is jointly released by Yale and Columbia universities. Yes, that is correct. India ranked lowest EPA 2022 due to poor performance in air quality and biodiversity conservation. Yes, in the recent times, our performance is not good in certain environmental related aspects. So that is correct. EPA is legally binding global metric used by, that is not okay. Environmental protection performance index is not a globally binding, it is just it is just a ranking methodology. The methodology of EPA has been questioned by the government of India, citing lack of transparency. Exactly correct, because the per capita emission aspect and all might be high. But just imagine, you cannot compare a per capita emission of India with USA because in USA, the amount of population is one third of what we have in India. Okay, so the parameters vary. So that's why Indian government is saying that the aspect of the environmental like pollution index, sorry, performance index is not right for India. Option 4, yeah, yes, so that is also correct. Question number 49, with respect to role of regionalism in Indian politics, okay, consider the following. Okay, regional politics have played a pivotal role in strengthening federalism by demanding decentralization. Yes, that is correct. The rise of regional parties contributed to the fragmentation of parliamentary mandates, leading to coalition politics. Yes, that is also correct. Okay, so recently, as you can see, in the last 20, 25 years or 30 years, the coalition parties were on the high. Okay, alliance-based governments are on the high. The 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment significantly curtailed the influence of regional polity by empowering local governments directly. No, it is wrong because they have significantly improved. Okay, 72nd and sorry, 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, which empowered rural and like urban municipalities. Okay, they empowered social government, so local government, and in fact, they have empowered the regional parties. Question number 50, with reference to Indian secular model, another polity-based question. Indian secularism permits the state to actively engage with religion to ensure equality and reform. Okay, that is correct. Okay, because so ensure the state will interfere only when it can promote equality. That is correct. Unlike Western secularism, where Western secularism says that the state and religion will be completely apart from each other, Indian secularism emphasizes on principled distance rather than strict separation. Yes, whenever there is a necessity for the government to intervene, to support, at the time it will intervene in the religious affairs. That is correct. Question number 51, Gautama Buddha. Okay. Yes, each and every year there is at least one question from Buddhism and Jainism. He was a believer in karma, exactly. Okay, he believed in the concept of karma, samsara, and nirvana. He was a believer in karma and the non-existence of soul. Okay, so option one is correct. Okay, option one is correct. He was neither a believer nor a denier of God's existence. Yes, Buddha didn't concern himself with the concept of God. He didn't speak about the existence or non-existence of God. That is correct. He was outspoken in his opposition to the caste system and its ideology. No. Buddha, even though he was a rationalist, okay, he was a rationalist. He considered everyone to be equal. He did not directly attack the Varna system of that time. Okay, so Siddhartha, okay, or Gautama Buddha, okay, is the founder of Buddhism. He lived during 6th century BC, okay, and he's a prince. He's a prince who belonged to Sakya clan. That's why he's also called a Sakya Muni. Okay. Question number 52. Consider the following statement about Jainism's eight auspicious symbol. Okay. Yeah. Okay. This is also based on a previous year question. All the statements are correct. There are actually eight important, eight auspicious symbols, okay, including swastik and everything. Okay, Purna Kalasha, okay, Astamangala, according to Svedambara sect of Jain, forms, like Purna Kalasha, Darpana mirror, Vardashana throne, where the Tirthankaras will sit, okay, Vardamanka powder flask, okay, Shivatsa, okay, a mark, and Swastika, Nandyavarta nine-pointed diagram, and Minayugala, pair of fish, okay, so the concept of Astamangala differs from Svetambara Jains and Digambara Jains. Okay, that is another important thing. Next, polity question: fundamental duties in the Indian Constitution. They are non-justiciable in the nature. Yes, that is correct. Because of the violation of the fundamental rights, you cannot approach the court. But moral significance, it holds a moral significance in democratic. It is the duty of the citizen to perform the fundamental duty. That is correct. Fundamental rights are the duties of the government towards the citizen, whereas fundamental duties are the duties of the citizens towards the government or the nation. Okay, they were added to Constitution by 44th Constitutional Amendment Act. Okay, that is wrong because they are added through 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. Okay, the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act has created a separate part called as Part 4A of the Constitution, and it has installed Article 51A, under which there are right now 11 fundamental duties are there. With reference to gross domestic product, economy-based question. Okay, which of the following statement is correct? Okay, none of them are correct. Okay, so what is wrong with the first statement? In a specific period of 5 years, in a specific period of 5 years. So that is wrong. Okay, annually. Okay, so GDP, gross domestic product, is the measure of all the total value of goods and service produced in the country within a year. No distinction of foreigner or a citizen. Okay. Next question, option two. Nominal GDP represent the current prices of the goods. Okay, and services are their monetary value. That is also incorrect. Real GDP will adjust itself to the inflation, whereas nominal GDP is calculated using current market price, not adjusted for inflation. And then GDP deflator is a measure of level of prices of all new domestically produced and final goods. Okay, that is also correct. Okay, here it is. The option given over there is incorrect. And then option four, GDP at market price includes direct taxes and excludes subsidies. Yes, GDP at market price is equal to GDP at factor class plus indirect taxes minus subsidies to arrive at the real rate. Okay, question number 55. If they withdrew 1 lakh, yeah, I'm correct. 1 lakh cash from your demand deposit account at your bank. The long-term effect on the aggregate reduces the aggregate money supply because you have taken out. Okay, so it reduces the aggregate money supply in the economy. Okay, but the currency will increase in the public. Okay, the concept of M&M are important here. Consider the following. Okay, another monetary policy based concept. Okay, MO, reserve money is the sum of currency in circulation, bankers deposits with RB. Oh, no, that is wrong. Okay, reserve money is also known as sky powered money. Okay, which are with the public bankers. Okay, okay. Option two. The decreasing order of liquidity on the monetary aggregates is M4, okay, M3, M2, M1, and then 0. Okay. So the liquidity, it refers to how easily a money can be accessed and used. For example, let's say that I have a saving of 1 crore rupees in the bank. How easy can I access that and I can use it? That is the concept of liquidity. And option 3 is correct. Money multiplier is broad money, which is M3 by reserve money MO. It shows that how much money on the banking system can create a each unit of base money. Okay, that is also correct. Okay. So the public money includes which one of the following? The government. Okay, none. Okay, RBI not cash reserve because it reserves the cash. Okay, so next the commercial banks. Okay, sorry about it. Commercial banks. Okay, in form of SLR. Okay, so those all are incorrect here. Okay, SLR is a portion of deposit that the banks are mandated to hold in liquid assets. Okay. Exercise number 58. Liquidity adjustment facility includes the fixed reverse repo rate and standing and deposit facility. Okay. So they are talking about fixed repo rate and then SDF facility. Okay. The SDF is a mechanism introduced by Reserve Bank of India to observe excess liquidity. No. Okay. The standing deposit facility is actually in the concept which actually the banks hold it. Okay. SDF does not require collateral. Okay, and it is a unique feature. Okay, it absorbs the excess liquidity without any collateral. Okay, unlike reverse repo where the government security has to be given as a collateral to the bank. Okay, so statement one is incorrect. It is introduced as part of liquidity adjustment facility to replace the fixed reverse repo rate. Okay. With reference to small finance banks, consider the following statement. The concept of differentiated banking was introduced in banking system in India by RBI. Okay, on the recommendations of Narasimhan Committee. No, that is right. Sorry, that is incorrect. It's based on Nachiket More Committee. Okay, and for some specific categories of account, deposit limits are capped at 1 lakh. No, okay, that is also incorrect. The most important thing is, okay, while payment bank have the deposit cap of 1 lakh, there is no such deposit restrictions for small finance bank. Okay, for example, zero account banks are there. Okay, and then priority sector lending norms are not applicable to SFB. No. Okay, listen again. Priority sector lending is the concept where certain sectors such as agriculture, SMEs, okay, MSME under focused. So priority sector is obviously included. Okay. So all the options are incorrect. Question number 16. Central bank's digital currency. Recently, this is in news again and again, which is kind of related to cryptocurrency, but not exactly. Okay. Central bank digital currencies are digital versions of the country's fiat currency. No. The RBI has clearly said that the central bank digital currency is not an equivalent of the fiat currency, which is the regular money which we are using. They are similar to cryptocurrency where the issuer is unanimous. Okay, that is also incorrect because here it will be clearly mentioned that who is issuing that digital currency. Here in this case, it is RBI of India, Reserve Bank of India. ECNY is the digital currency of Nigeria. ECNY is the digital yuan issued by China. China also wants to enter this race. Okay, so digital currency of Nigeria is called as e-Naira. And then India has introduced a e-rupee, which is form of the digital currency, and it was introduced through RBI. Question number 61. With reference to exchange traded fund, consider the following statement. Okay. Exchange traded fund is a type of investment fund that combines futures of both mutual funds and stocks. Okay. ETF can buy or sell shares to trading day at marketplaces. Yes, that is also correct. ETFs or exchange traded funds are typically have higher expense ratio compared to mutual funds. No, that is incorrect because ETFs are generally have low expense ratios compared to the traditional mutual funds. Okay, because they are passively managed. Okay, and then it doesn't have complete, full-time fund managers. So that's why the risk aspect as well as other aspects are true. Okay, so option 3 is incorrect. Question number 62. Pradhan Mantri Vaya Vandana Yojana. Okay, in polity, governance-based questions are, very important. In fact, the questions based on government, governance schemes, initiatives, or in the next two fundamental rights, fundamental duty, and DPSP question, which is on the first. Okay. So it was launched in 2017 by the Ministry of Finance to offer guaranteed payout of pensions to senior citizens every month. Okay, that is correct. Senior citizen can draw minimum pension of 3,000 month depending on the amount invested in the scheme. That is incorrect. Okay, because minimum person of 3,000 depending on the amount invested in the scheme, because the minimum pension is 1,000, not 3,000. Because okay, and the third statement is also incorrect. Recently, the scheme was included under goods and service tax. No, sorry. Yeah, it's exempt from GST. Okay, it's exempt from GST. Okay, let's just imagine senior citizens are, asked to pay the GST for the savings or pension they are receiving. Obviously, it won't be good. Okay, polluters rate principle, an environmental based question. It is the economic responsibility of the polluter to bear the cost of restoration compensation. The concept, as I said already, a person who is creating the plastic has to make sure that it is getting recycled or at least it is collected. So the concept of like pay polluters pay is associated with the company which is producing a certain amount of waste has to take the responsibility to reduce the pollution. Okay. Further. Question number 64. Okay. Consider the following in respect of urban cooperative banks. Another economy based question. They are regulated by both RB and state cooperative departments. Yes, that is correct. Okay. Urban cooperative banks are focused on are regulated by both RB and state cooperative departments. Their inclusion in SLR and CRR regime is identical to that of scheduled commercial banks. Okay, that is incorrect because the urban cooperative banks, okay, are subject to statutory liquid ratio and cash ratio, which are mandated by the RBI. Okay, because this actually makes the bank to run sustainably for a long time. Okay. Question number 65. Financial Inclusion Index in India. Which of the following statements is correct? Okay. So it is released by Reserve Bank of India and capture access, usage, and quality dimensions. Yes, that is correct. The higher index value reflects a lower banking penetration and lower insurance coverage. That is incorrect. Actually, in financial FI index, financial inclusion index, which is scaled between 0 to 100, 0 signifies complete financial exclusion and 100 signifies complete financial inclusion. So higher the value indicates greater financial inclusion. Okay, that's a history question. Eka movement, Madhuri Parsi, Tebaga movement, A.K. Gopalan, and Badoli Satyagraha, Vallabhai Patel. Personality-based questions are on the rise. So let's see the question. Question number one, option one. Eka movement is the present movement in the Uttar Pradesh. Okay, which was led by Madhuri Parsi, and it is aimed at the resisting excessive land grant. Okay, land revenue demands. Okay. Question option two. Tebaga movement was a star copper movement in Bengal, led by All India Kisan Sabha, and it is the leaders associated are Kanzari Haidar, and then A.K. Gopalan belongs to Kerala. Okay. Bardoli Satyagraha in Gujarat was led by Vallabhai Patel, and it was one of the successful no tax campaign. Okay. The movement gave the title Patel to Sardar. The title Sardar to Patel. Okay, that is correct. Okay. Question number 67. That digital public infrastructure is sometimes seen in uses in the context of open access platforms like Aadhaar, UPI, DigiLocker, which enable inclusive delivery of services. Okay. Yes. The digital public infrastructure refers to the foundational of this, digital system that enables support to the delivery of public service. Okay. Most importantly, in the digital public infrastructure, okay, such as like Aadhaar, UPI, and everything will be combined. Okay, Jam Trinity and everything will be completed, combined. And DigiLocker, like document storage can also be used. Let's say that you are going to apply a different, like a degree, you don't have to, present the physical copies of the previous education qualification. DigiLocker access is there. Okay. Question number 68. Agricultural marketing reforms in India. Consider the following statements. ENAM, okay, creation of electronic national agriculture market has facilitated price discovery, reduced market inefficiency, and promoted transparency. Exactly correct. Because ENAM is focused on reducing the intermediaries where the farmer can be contacted directly by the buyer. Okay. So the first option is correct. Essential Commodities Act was amended to deregulate stock limits on food items, ensuring stable prices and reducing farmer exploitation. Yes, that is also correct. The model APMC Act provides for free movement of agriculture produce, contract farming, and e-trading within a unified national framework. Yes, all are correct. All are correct. Okay. Question number 69. Okay, this year I'm expecting a soil-based question in UPSC in geography. So very good example. Okay. The red soil of India are rich in iron but deficient in nitrogen and humus. Yes. Okay. Red soil of India are rich in iron but deficient in nitrogen and humus. That's why we add more amount of nitrogen through urea and everything. Okay. And red soil gets its color because of the highest iron content. Okay. Next, option two. Alluvial soils are highly fertile, are found in the river valleys and deltas. Yes, alluvial soils are also known as river soils. They are deposited by the rivers. Okay, that is correct. Laterite soils are unsuitable for agriculture even after adding fertilizers and enzyme. Actually, laterite soils are actually naturally low in fertility and they can be made suitable for agriculture through application of fertilizers and lime. Okay. And after application of this, they can, crops such as tea, coffee, and cashew can be grown. Okay, consider the following in respect of fiscal deficit. It includes borrowing from external source as well as internal liabilities of the government. Okay, that is correct. Fiscal deficit is where you have, deficit. I mean, you are spending more than you earn. Okay, a rising fiscal deficit may indicate poor revenue performance or excessive public expenditure. Yes, that is also correct. Okay, poor revenue performance is wrong, but excessive public expenditure is not wrong. Okay, based on the situation of the country, it differs. Okay. Fiscal deficit, okay, yeah, it is the difference between government's total expenditure and its total receipts, which means, like revenue excluding the borrowing. Okay, Open Network for Digital Commerce, ONDC. Okay, this is the recently seen in news and it is related to open source platform to democratize them digital retailing by integrating buyers and sellers. Listen, just imagine Amazon or Flipkart is being run by the government. Okay, so when you reduce the middleman, okay, you can buy the products in very cheap. Okay, in an affordable aspect. So this open network for digital commerce is a backed initiative where it unites buyers, sellers, and payment gateway and everything. Okay. With reference to goods and service tax, GST, consider the following. It subsumes both direct and indirect taxes levied by central and tax. No, it doesn't subsume direct taxes, it just subsumes most of the indirect taxes. Okay. So first option is wrong. It has four tiers tax structure and applies uniformly across all states and QTs. Okay. Yes. GST follows the four-tier structure of 5%, 12%, 18%, and 28%, depending on the category of goods and services. Yes, that is correct. Okay. And essentially, all items are fall under the lower slab. There are certain luxury and sin goods. What are sin goods? For example, tobacco can be called a sin good. Okay. They attract higher amount of GST to reduce the consumption, obviously. Okay. Yeah. So what is the purpose of PM Gati Shakti Yojana? Okay, to develop a unified digital platform for multimodal logistic infrastructure. Since the introduction of ease of doing business, India has been focusing on logistic development in India, and PM Gati Shakti Yojana, which was launched in 2021, okay, during the COVID period and everything. Okay, it aimed to streamline and integrate infrastructure development in India through unified digital platform. Okay, so it brings together 16 ministries, including railways, roadways, shipping, and civil aviation for coordinated planning and implementation of the infrastructure project. Okay. Okay, reference to role of women in Indian freedom movement is in Azad Ki Amrit Mahotsav was celebrated for the 75th year of Indian independence, and the government has celebrated more, like female freedom fighters who have, previously have been unknown. Okay, so this kind of questions can be expected. Women leaders such as Aruna Asif Ali, Usha Mehta, and Suchita Kriplani played a vital role in underground resistance. Yes, especially during Quit India movement. Yes, they have run secret radios, formation of government and everything. The Women Indian Association, founded in 1917, focused solely on the education of girl children and avoided active participation in the nationalist movement. No, the like Women's Indian Association, so like formed by Annie Besant and the Margaret Cousins. Okay, they focused on promoting women's education, but it was not limited to that alone. Women's suffrage, okay, women's political participation and social reforms such as like widow remarriage and all focused on. Okay, okay. Yeah, and then Kasturiba Gandhi led the salt satyagraha in Tamil Nadu and was imprisoned multiple times. No, Kasturiba Gandhi was committed to satyagrahi, but she didn't come to salt satyagraha in Tamil Nadu. For example, salt satyagraha in Tamil Nadu was led by C. Rajagopalachari, also known as Rajaji, the first Indian viceroy of independent India. Okay, and he took Vedaranyam salt march in 1930 as part of civil disobedience movement. Okay, Kasturiba Gandhi didn't come to Tamil Nadu at this time. Okay. With reference to Indian rock cut architecture, consider the following. Ajanta and Ellora caves are primarily Buddhist monastic complexes created under Buddha patronage. Okay, yes, primarily, not completely, but primarily they are Buddhist monastic complexes. Okay, and they have been created during Gupta patronage. Okay, the Elephanta caves reflect Shaiva iconography and they are located in Karnataka. No, they are incorrect. The Elephanta caves are known for their Shaiva, devoted to Shaiva rocket sculptures, okay, including iconic Trimurti. Yes, that is, they are actually in Maharashtra. Elephanta caves are in Maharashtra, not in Karnataka. Okay. Mahajanapadas were the earliest kingdoms in post-Vedic India. Okay, that is correct. This year I was expecting a question in Mahajanapadas, especially the urban centers of Mahajanapadas. Okay, the Buddhist text Angutta Nikaya mentions six Mahajanapadas. Okay, that is also correct. Okay, Avanti, Kashi, Koshala, Gandhara, Adamahada. Mahada and Kosala were the only Mahajanapadas with republic form of government. No, that is incorrect. Mahada and Kosala were not republics; they were monarchical kingdom. Okay, Lichavi, okay, Malla. These are example of republic. These are example of republic. In the context of cultural syncretism, okay. The principle of Ganga Jagni Tepshi refers to the integration of Hindu and Muslim tradition in North India's social life. Okay, Ganga Jamuni. Okay, so two different religions synchronize. Okay, and it is created because of the intermingling of Hindu and Muslim traditions. Okay, Ganga Jamuni refers to Ganga, which symbolizes Hindu culture, and Jamuna symbolizing Muslim culture. Okay, so Tehzeeb means culture or manner. Okay, so it actually describes how both Hindu and Muslim communities in this region have a blended element of their rituals. Okay, question number 78 with respect to Indian temple architecture. Okay, architecture questions are very, very important in architecture. Nagara style is prominent in North India with curved shikaras and absence of boundary walls. Yes, Nagara, Nagara, Vesara, Dravida are the three types, and in Nagara, the shikara will be like this. Okay, whereas in Dravida, it will be pyramidal. Okay. The Dravidian style focus features Vimana and Gopurams often built within concentric enclosures. So that is incorrect. Okay, that is incorrect. Dravidian type is South Indian temple architecture and it has Vimanas, okay, the towering structures above Sanctum Sanctorum. Okay, and then Gopurams, okay, elaborate entrance towers. Okay. These temples are usually enclosed with multiple concentric enclosures. Yes. Okay. Okay, there'll be lot of Pradakshina Padas. Okay. And they have large central courtyard and like the temple tanks are present generally. Okay. Question number 79, which of the following statement is not correct? A medieval India question. Muhammad bin Tughlaq introduced the Afghan Chehra system. No. Okay. It is actually Alauddin Khilji. Alauddin Khilji, after coming to the throne, he understood that his army is the most important thing. So, the horse branding, because he imports, Arabian horses which are high in quality. So he didn't want other horse to mingle. He wanted to maintain the purity of the horses, which actually will result in the strength of the cavalry. So the horse branding was there, and Chera, writing physical descriptions of soldiers, particularly their physical marks and everything to avoid imposters to control the spies and everything. Okay. And Akbar has followed this concept, okay, to combat corruption in Mughal army. Okay. And Diwan-i-Ars was a military department that was created to inspect the army and it's to check all these things. Akbar created Zapti system. Yes. Zapti or Bandobast system. Okay, Zapti or Bandobast system is where you are supposed to pay certain amount if you own land. Okay, Shesha Suri introduced Kabiliyat and Pattas as yes, Shesha who belonged to Sud dynasty. Okay, who belonged to Sud dynasty. he has created this patta system, okay, which means the ownership rights and everything concept was introduced during his period. For the first time, Balban established the military department, also known as, yeah, this is where the Balban has introduced this concept, which was developed, okay, by Alauddin Khilji, okay, by Alauddin Khilji. And most importantly, here, as it is explained, Raja Tormar was the chief architect of the Bandobast system. Next, question number 80, Unnati scheme. Unnati scheme, okay, is aimed at, okay, by, it is launched by ISRO, which is aimed at training Panchayat officials on GIS applications, okay, global information system, okay. For example, patch of land can be used, like effectively tagged and everything. So, the most important thing, okay, like this training will help them to effectively use space technology and satellite imagery for rural development, okay, such as water development, canal development, and everything. Okay, and then what are the other options? Promoting rural entrepreneurship through satellite-based infrastructure is not focused. Okay, the other options are wrong. Another question based on prehistory, Neolithic in origin. Kurnul, no. Bimbetka or Paleolithic. Yes, Bimbetka is Paleolithic. Okay, Koldava and Mahagra. Okay, yes, okay. Yeah, Koldava, Megrag, Hallu. Okay, even though in Bimbetka we get like various aspects. Okay, from prehistoric to medieval India. Okay, it is not a predominantly a Paleolithic site. Okay, so Barzakham in Kashmir. Okay, it is where we find domesticated dogs were buried along with their masters. Okay, and then Gufral, Kashmir. This is the Neolithic site, which is famous for pit dwellings, where like the house lays below the ground level. Okay, and then in-house graveyard also is famous there. And Chirand of Bihar, where the Neolithic man has employed bone tools and weapons. Okay. Balan Valley is where like the earliest aspect of rice cultivation was identified. Okay. This number 82, political question, electoral bonds. Okay, electoral bonds. Okay, State Bank of India has been authorized to issue and encash electoral bonds through its authorized banks. Okay, the identity of the donor is revealed. No, the identity is not revealed. Okay, it's not revealed. So option 2 is wrong. The bonds are interest bearing. No, the bonds are not interest bearing. Okay, electoral bonds are non-interest bearing and non-tradable bonds, which means you cannot trade that. Okay. What is the concept of electoral bond? Okay, let's say that you want to give a donation to a particular political party. This concept of political donation has been creating a lot of problems because there was no clear cut of transparency. So to avoid it, electoral bond system was introduced and it was implemented through. It was sold through. It is sold through. Like State Bank of India. With reference to basically consider the following statement. It refers to the number of times a cell population can divide before entering permanent growth arrest. Okay. Yes, that is correct. Okay, basically. And then it is influenced by the gradual shortening of the telomeres. Telomeres at the end of chromosomes during the cell division. Okay, and then Hayes for the human cells allows for infinite cell division. No. Okay, Hayes limit is the amount where like this how much amount the cell population can divide. Okay, like let's say that a cell can divide only into a particular million amount. Okay, so that is what. And the option 3 is obviously wrong. Okay, it doesn't allows for infinite cell division. Okay, the concept is that there is a limit to the number of cell division. Okay, question number 84. Consider the following statement refers to Web3. Web3 allows user to have ownership over their data and digitals, often using blockchain technology to ensure decentralization. Okay, that is correct. Unlike previous versions of the Web3 completely eliminates the role of intermediaries and corporations from online activities. That is wrong. Actually, it aims to reduce the dependency on the central intermediary, which was in the previous aspect. Okay, so it is a decentralized aspect of web platform. Xylitol usage. Okay, science and tech based current affairs. Okay, so xylitol is a sugar alcohol. Okay, which is a hybrid molecule. Okay, so a sugar alcohol used as a low calorie sweetener that does not contribute to dental activities, aimed at like reducing dental decay as well as sugar level. Okay. So unlike regular sugar, xylitol does not feed on harmful oral bacteria, making it useful in preventing dental cavities, particularly for children. Question number 86. With reference to thrombosis, with thrombocytopenia syndrome, sometimes mentioned in the news, since the following statement. It is a rare adverse effect associated with the certain vaccines where blood clots from despite a low platelet count. Yes, that is correct. Okay. It is commonly affects only the lower limbs and does not impact vital organs such as brain or lungs. So that is incorrect. Okay. Then PTE is also referred as vaccine-induced thrombotic, okay, is a rare condition, but it is a serious condition which is, like which will make a certain individual, such a, like individuals suspect to adenovirus phage, okay, COD vaccine, sorry, yeah. It is characterized by simultaneous occurrence of blood clots and low platelet counts, which is paradoxical because platelets count we are highly required for clot formation. So that is a paradoxical condition. And why statement 2 is incorrect? TTS is not limited to the lower limbs, okay, and particularly dangerous to unusual and critical part of the body such as brain, lungs, and abdomen. So which lies in the upper part of the body. Okay, question number 87. You cannot the correct picture of plasmids. Plasmids are only found in eukaryotic cell, not in bacteria. It's another basic science question. Okay, so what are correct regarding plasmids? Plasmids are circular double-stranded DNA molecules, and they are distinct from chromosomal DNA. Yes, they are small, okay, circular double-stranded DNA molecules that exist separately from the chromosomal DNA. Okay, yeah, plasmids are only found in eukaryotic cell and not in bacterial cell. Plasmids are mostly found in bacterial cell, not just in eukaryotes. Okay, and then plasmids can carry genes that confer advantage such as antibiotic resistance to bacteria. Yes, that is correct. Plasmids can also be used in genetic engineering as factors to transfer genes between organisms. Yes, genetic engineering where like they need the use technology to control certain diseases or activities. So here plasmids can also be used. Question number 88. Science and tech disease type question. Hepatitis A, hepatitis B, and hepatitis C. Okay, hepatitis A, ingestion of contaminated food and water. Okay, yes. Hepatitis B, contact with infected body, blood and body fluids. Yes. Hepatitis C, ingestion of contaminated food and water. Now, hepatitis C is one of the most serious thing. Okay, it actually spread through contaminated needles, unsafe medical procedure, and blood transfusion. Okay, that's why it is one of the most serious thing. Okay. So it doesn't transmit through blood to blood. It doesn't transmit through contaminated food or water. Question number 89, another science question, and it is based on a previous question. Quantum dots are artificially synthesized nanoscale semiconductor particles that can emit light of various colors when exposed to ultraviolet light. Yes, quantum dots can be inserted and then it can be targeted to cortical cells and everything. Yes, quantum dots have potential applications in medical imaging, solar cells, and display technology. Exactly correct. That's what I told you right now. Okay, listen. Okay, once it has been inserted, it will be used as fluorescent markers. They can be, like moved to a particular targeted body part. Okay, and then in medical imaging and in solar cells, they can be used for energy conservation efficiency in next generation photovoltaics. Okay, next displays used in fueled quantum dot LED for enhanced color purity and brightness. Okay, that is also correct. Okay. Question number 90, Tasmanian tiger. Okay, Tasmanian tiger, it doesn't look actually like a tiger. The Tasmanian tiger, also known as thylacine, was a carnivorous because it has been eliminated. Was a carnivorous marsupial native to Australia, Tasmania, and New Guinea. Yes, that is correct. It is currently classified under critically endangered. Okay, because it has been listed as extinct. Okay. Recently, de-extinction efforts such as reclaiming the genetic technology have been made. Like the Tasmanian tiger has been eliminated. Okay, in the wild. Okay, and it is native to Tasmania, which is near to Australia and Papua New Guinea and New Zealand. Okay. Number 91, dimorphs, which are recently seen in use. Okay, so dimorph is nothing but a moonlet of an asteroid used in the planetary defense test to alter its trajectory. Just imagine, asteroid is about to attack Earth. Okay, can we change? We cannot destroy the asteroid, but can we change the trajectory path so that it won't attack? Okay, that is the concept. So it is for double asteroid redirection test. The world's first planetary defense test mission, which was launched by NASA. As I said, just imagine this is Earth and this is an asteroid which is coming. So instead of breaking it, which is highly impossible, or even if it breaks it, we cannot change the trajectory, which will will divide it into two parts. Instead of that, we can change the trajectory. Okay, so Didymos and Dimorphos are not Earth crossing asteroid. So if the experiment shows no diameter threat to Earth at all. Okay, so number 92, white gold. White gold is nothing but colloquial term for lithium, which is a rare earth metal. It is primarily used in rechargeable battery technology. Okay, as well as like semiconductors and other things. Okay, right now lithium is one of the most sought out minerals in the whole world. Okay, okay, and lithium triangle: Argentina, Bolivia, and Chile. Okay, India exports most of its lithium from Argentina, and we have made a pact with Chile also. Question number 93. Which of the following provisions were there included in Gandhi-Irwin Pact? A modernistic question. Okay, 1931. Gandhi-Irwin Pact, treatment of resigned government employees with a difference. Okay, yes, that is correct. The immediate release of all political prisoners who have not been convicted of violence. This is the most important thing. At this time only, Bhagat Singh was arrested. He was convicted of political violence, okay, which is murder of Saunders. The right to picket in peaceful and non-aggressive manner. Yes, that is also correct. Okay, the women particularly can go and protest in against liquor shops and everything. So all the statements are correct. Mahatma Gandhi, okay, was arrested, okay, after Salt March and after the launch of civil disobedience movement. Okay, and then what has happened? Viceroy wanted to make a pact which is led to the roundtable conferences. Okay, so what has happened here? Viceroy Irwin has made has tried to connect with Gandhi to make a pact. Okay, so yes, okay, so this pact is also called as Delhi Pact. Okay, so Irwin agreed on behalf of the government as well as Gandhi agreed on behalf of Congress. So immediate release of all political prisoners who have not been convicted of violence. Okay, and that is there. Okay, and then statement one, the lenient treatment of all resigned government because civil disobedience movement, Gandhi asked legal as well as government employees not to continue in their job. Okay, so that is also correct. And to right to make salt in coastal villages for personal consumption, not for sale. Okay, as well as right to picket in peaceful and non-aggressive manner. Okay, that is also. And the viceroy rejected two demands, which is public inquiry into police excess as well as a life sentence, okay, instead of a death sentence for Bhagat Singh and comrade. Okay, that's why this point is very, very important because here the immediate release of all political prisoners who have not been convicted of violence because Bhagat Singh has convicted violence, okay, according to the government. Question about Swami Vivekananda. Following quotes. It's not a quote, okay. Vivekananda. He rose to prominence as a neo-Hindu preacher. Yes, exactly. His purpose was to bring two words of Paramartha and Vyavahara closer together. Yes, okay, Paramartha, because service to people is service to God, is its concept. In 1893, he attended Parliaments of Religion in Chicago. Exactly correct. Okay, Swami Vivekananda is the disciple of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Okay, so he's one of the socio-religious reform movement leader of India. He is the ardent follower of Vedanta. Okay, it says that the Veda is the concept of a rational theory. Okay, he didn't go for mythological aspect. Okay, so he said that he wanted to bridge a gap between Paramatma, which is supreme being, and Vyavahara, behavior. Okay, so he wanted to connect everyday life into spirituality. Okay, so when Swami Vivekananda's famous speech in the Parliament of Religion in Chicago, 1893, he started the speech such as the brothers and sisters of America. Okay, so till that speech, many has considered India to be a backward country, but he has changed the total image. Okay, question number 95, no changer. Okay, after the cancellation, sudden cancellation of non-cooperation movement. Okay, there was a faction. There was a faction in Congress. Okay, certain people went in no changer and pro changer. Pro changers are the person who wanted to contest the election and participate in the legislative process. Whereas no changes are the person who wants to continue to social activities which are guided by the Gandhi, which are guided by Gandhi. So Gandhi was arrested in March 1992 after Chauri Chaura incident, okay, where he called off non-cooperation movement. So one section was led by C.R. Das, Chittaranjan Das, Motilal Nehru, and Nazrul Khan. They, they wanted to end the boycott of legislative council. So they participated in the election and they went to the assembly and pointed to the government's mistake. And whereas certain other people, okay, was called as Swarajis, so Pallabai Patel, Rajendra Prasad, Rajagopalacharya, Rajaji, okay, were called as no changes. They followed Gandhi's advice of social change. Okay. Again, this no changes and pro changes have united. Okay. And Swarajis were permitted to contest election within the Congress as a group. Because number 96, non-cooperation movement. The Tilak Swaraj Fund was substantially oversubscribed with 1 crore rupees raised exactly before the launch of non-cooperation movement. Exactly a day before the launch of non-cooperation movement, Tilak has died and Gandhi has become the head of the Home Rule movement, which was called the Swaraj movement after that. Okay, and then he has launched the fund of Tilak Swaraj Fund. Okay, so more than 1 crore rupees was collected. The Congress volunteer corps took on the role of parallel police force. No, that is correct. Sorry, that is correct. Present support for the non-cooperation movement was limited. No, because of Gandhi's earlier activities such as Champaran Satyagraha, Ahmedabad Mill Strike, and then Kedar Satyagraha, the peasant support, the bottom of the people have started supporting Gandhi in ideology. Okay, so option 3 is incorrect. Okay, so most importantly, especially the Awadh Kisan movement as well as the Ekta movement are done, they have joined. Okay, Mapilla revolt of most of the oppressed people have joined Gandhian movement. Okay, page number 97. Ambassadors and the Mughal kings. Ambassadors and Mughal king. William Hawkins with Jahangir, Cavalier with Shah Jahan, and Sir Thomas Roe. Thomas Roe didn't meet, like Akbar, okay, during Akbar's period, British rule from India. Okay, only during the reign of Jahangir, okay, Sir Thomas Roe visited India as an ambassador. Okay, so William Hawkins was a naval commander who came to court of Jahangir. Okay, and then Hawkins was sent by King James Fund. Okay, and then in 1608 Hawkins arrived to seek the permission for constructing the factory. Okay, so these are all done. Very important. Okay, page number 98. Jhansi was the first princely state to be annexed by the British under the doctrine of lapse. No, that is incorrect. The Queen of Jhansi died fighting as a squadron of 8 houses under Captain Kinich. Okay, so that is correct. Okay, so here the most important thing, even the Queen achieved martyrdom because she was called the only man among the poor. Okay, so Captain Kinich under General Ross. Okay, led the barrage on June 18th, 1858. Okay, near Kulgan of Gwalior. Okay, so what has happened? Damodar has managed to endure the battle and subsequently after the death of Johnson and Lakshmiban. Okay, so to a level here, he has survived. Okay, doctrine of lapse was a concept introduced, developed by Dalhousie to take away most of the Indian kingdoms. Question number 99. Consider the following statements in relation to Theosophical Society. Theosophy, theology, okay, study about religions, particularly old religions. Bikaji Gama founded it in Calcutta. No, Bikaji Gama is not related to Theosophical Society. Theosophical Society was originally founded in, by Alcott and H.P. Blavatsky in USA. The primary objective was to foster interest in ancient religions and philosophies. Exactly, that is correct. After some time, they have moved the headquarters. After some time, they have moved the headquarters. Okay, moved the headquarters to India. Okay, from USA. Central Hindu School was chosen as the parent organization responsible for the society's growth. Okay, so that is also wrong because after they have arrived to India, okay, Anandi Besant was part of Madan Mohan Malviya to found the Central Indian School in Banaras. Which has become the Banaras Hindu University. But Theosophical Society was actually, the headquarters of Theosophical Society was created in Adagar, Chennai, in Tamil Nadu. Question number 100, revolutionary terrorism. Okay, revolutionary terrorism. Okay, option, all are correct. Okay, so Shamaji Krishna Verma established Indian, okay, Shamaji Krishna Verma established Indian Student Center, India House in London. Yes, that is correct. The famed Ghadar movement. The famed Ghadar movement was formed in 1913 by San Francisco by Sogan Sigma. Yes, okay, by the expatriated Sikh people, they have created it, particularly the people who have settled in northern part of America. Okay, Madam Kama, Madam Bikaji Kama, a partial revolutionary who formed close ties with French socialists such as Jean Lacroix launched the Bande Mataram movement. Yes, that is also correct. Okay, Madam Kaziranga was the person who have hoisted the Indian flag in the foreign country for the first time. Okay, and she was the Inuit personal assistant. Yeah. So she's a Fauzi woman, and she holds the distinction of the first Indian to unfold our national flag on foreign soil. That is more important. Okay, and she actually wrote important works such as Bande Mataram and Madan Stalwar. Okay. Okay, guys. Yeah. Gagar movement is formed in 1930. Okay, the most important people associated with Sovan Singh Bucknell, Lala Hardayal. Okay, and then it got its name from Urdu. Okay, which means sacrifice. Okay, so we are talking about foreign or organizations which are related to India's independent movement. Okay, so we have come to the end. Okay, so just you can attempt the test again. Okay, the subscription, sorry, the link is given in the description. Okay, so I hope it is very clear. So all the best for your prelims. Okay, and we'll be conducting subsequent all India mock test also. Okay, yes, thank you.